It appears that the Canadian thought police are indeed coming for Jordan Peterson. He's actually being threatened with losing his license to practice psychology unless he agrees to attend a re-education camp. You can't make this stuff up. We're going to take a look at the threat. We're going to see, of course, Peterson's response, and make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video when we'll find out what's really going on inside woke academia. You're not going to want to miss this. On Tuesday, January 3rd, the internationally renowned psychologist Jordan Peterson tweeted out a bombshell revelation that the Ontario College of Psychologists has indeed demanded that he submit himself to what he called mandatory social media communication retraining, which, as the term implies, is clearly a form of re-education. Among the supposed crimes that Jordan committed were retweets of the Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre, as well as tweets critical of the Canadian soy boy Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, one of the most prominent international embarrassments on the planet. The tweet thread went on to note, quote, "I've been accused of harming people, although none of the complaints involved in the current action were clients of mine, past or present, or even acquainted with any of my clients. I am to take a course of such training with reports documenting my progress or face an in-person tribunal and suspension my right to operate as a licensed clinical psychologist." We are now in a situation in Canada under Justin Trudeau where practicing professionals can have their livelihoods and public reputations threatened in a very serious manner for agreeing with the official opposition and criticizing major government figures. And yes, that would certainly seem to be the case. This is clearly a very chilling development in Canada and indeed in Western so-called democracies that scholars have recognized are becoming increasingly dictatorial and despotic for reasons we'll get into in a moment. Needless to say, Peterson is hardly intimidated. He's not giving in to any of this absurdity for a single second. And the good news is that the response to this woke authoritarianism has been swift and very, very adamantly opposed to this tribunal, as it were. The editorial board at the Wall Street Journal just published a scathing rebuke of the College of Psychologists saying, quote, "Professional bodies are supposed to ensure that practitioners are competent, not enforce political orthodoxies or act as language police outside the office. But that's the trend in Western medical associations and beyond. The Law Society of Ontario had pushed a mandatory diversity pledge for all lawyers until a members' revolt took over the board and nixed the pledge in 2019. At the time, an Ontario lawyer objected to the ever-expanding mission to socially engineer the profession. And that is exactly what we've been seeing, particularly in the realm of universities and by extension in the realm of the credentialed professional class. More and more fidelity to woke ultra-Marxist ideology has replaced professional competence as the standard for achieving and maintaining accreditation. The University of London scholar Eric Kaufman published a very important study back in 2021 that detailed the frightening increase in political censorship on college campuses. Kaufman makes a very interesting distinction between what he calls hard authoritarianism and soft authoritarianism on college campuses. So hard authoritarianism would involve the explicit punishment of an academic's work or speech, precisely what we're seeing here with the threats against Jordan Peterson. For example, Kaufman found that in the surveys that he conducted, over 4 in 10 U.S. and Canadian academics would not hire a Trump supporter, and 1 in 3 British academics would not hire a Brexit supporter. Soft authoritarianism involves more subtle forms of viewpoint and political discrimination, as well as acts of self-censorship. So, for example, nearly 70% of American and Canadian academics said that they would feel uncomfortable having lunch with someone who opposed transgender ideology. In the social sciences and humanities, over 9 in 10 Trump-supporting academics and 8 in 10 Brexit-supporting academics said that they would not feel comfortable expressing their views to a colleague More than half of North American and British conservative academics admit self-censoring in research and teaching. But as it turns out, in many respects, this is all just the tip of the iceberg. Kaufman has identified a very real spike in hard authoritarian trends that promises to get even worse before it gets better. You're not going to want to miss that. But first, gang, this year, my family and I have decided to declare 2023 as the year of family preparedness in the Turley household. I'm starting off this new year covering all the bases. We're talking food storage, survival kits, and everything my family needs to make sure that we'll survive whatever this upcoming year throws at us. I recently interviewed TJ Johnson, the founder and CEO of Ready Project, and if you haven't watched that interview, you've got to do it. I'll link it down below for you. It's amazing. This interview will single-handedly tell you why I am placing preparedness at the top of my priorities list. I invite you to join me this year in my resolution of family preparedness and take the immediate steps to get yourself and your family prepared today so you can eat tomorrow. And if you act right now, you get to take advantage of Ready Project's special offer just for my listeners with huge limited time savings. So don't wait. Click on that link below to learn more about my plan and what I'm doing to make sure my family has all the emergency essentials that'll be needed. Join me, take action, click on that link below, and let's get our families prepared together. The Foundation for Individual Rights in Education maintains a database of a growing trend to deplatform and disinvite conservative academics to university campuses. Since the year 2000, disinvitations and deplatformings among conservative academics surged to nearly 200 incidents, and they've been increasingly getting worse. Of the 192 disinvitations since 2000, 114, over 50%, have occurred since 2009. Moreover, the National Association of Scholars maintains a database of primarily American academics who've experienced campaigns calling for their dismissal. And they found that while there are only 4 incidences as such in 2015-2016, that rose to 65 in 2020. Across the pond, a report by Civitas in December of 2020 discovered that over half, 53% of 137 British universities experienced demands for censoring speech around alleged transphobic episodes, something, again, very similar to what Jordan Peterson is being accused of by the Ontario College of Psychologists. But it gets worse. What Kaufman found was that among current PhD students, doctoral students, they were far more likely to support the firing of a professor if he or she held views contrary to woke orthodoxy. Kaufman found that nearly 75% of PhD students would support ousting a professor who opposed woke leftist sentiments. So that means that the next generation of professors are going to be even worse than the current generation. Now, the good news is that trust in the universities has absolutely imploded among the American public. According to Gallup, confidence in our universities has dropped 9 points since 2015 to now under 50%. And with the increasing wokeness on campuses, we can expect that number to implode even further. So that's the good news. Long term, this woke authoritarianism is simply unsustainable. Universities are going to suffer big time when it comes to their pocketbooks. In fact, it's already happening. We've seen a record number of colleges collapse and shut their doors permanently. The numbers are astonishing. Nearly 900 colleges have closed since 2004, and nearly 10,000 campuses have been shut down in the same time period. So in the end, the joke's on this College of Psychologists in Ontario. Far from threatening Jordan Peterson, their actions are only putting their own futures at risk. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You will definitely want to check out my latest video on MAGA forces absolutely crushing the GOP establishment. You're going to love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.